Welcome to the JD Remedy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the JD Remedy. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope everybody is doing okay in lockdown and wherever else you are listening into this episode. We are finally on the last day of lockdown here in Perth, and it's just been announced that we get to come out of lockdown as of midnight tonight. So I'm super excited. I am unfortunately working all weekend. So that's a bit shit, but it is what it is. So I've actually really enjoyed being at home. Like, I probably have said it before, but I'm a huge homebody. I really enjoy just being in my own space, being by myself, and working from home obviously is always a bonus. Obviously missing out on the gym, I haven't actually felt that bad for myself this week. Like, normally I'm dying to get back into it and I just feel really unhealthy, but I've really enjoyed the time this week to just take to myself and relax. I think because I had a fucking headache and a migraine for about 16 days, I am a little bit weary about doing anything like super strenuous. It's going to like trigger it and bring it back on. But I do need to get back into it. As of Monday, I will I will go back into the gym and just kind of take it day by day and see how I go. But yeah, I hope everybody else has been looking after themselves. Let me know. I want to hear from you guys. What have you been doing during the lockdown, or what have you been doing in general for the last 4 days to just look after yourself? I suppose, like, what's your favorite thing that keeps the time ticking, right? For me, it's definitely sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix or anything else like that. So yeah, I'm okay. I think I'm an introvert, somewhere in the middle, like definitely toward introverted. So I really don't care all that much about leaving my house. I'm a hermit for sure. So it's been good. I've started listening to a new podcast lately called Darling Shine, and that is Chloe Fisher and her best mate Elodie. Chloe Fisher, for anyone who knows who Fisher is, the DJ, he's Australian. That's his wife and her best friend, and they generally talk about, you know, IVF and pregnancy struggling journeys and just womanhood and things that they struggle with, and like best friend topics. And it's just really fun to listen to the dialect between them too. And yeah, it's just really cute to listen to. You can tell that they're like best friends, soulmates. It's pretty cute. But yeah, that's what I've been doing to kind of keep my mind ticking along as well. But I am coming at you with a rec. I did watch this last night. Let me just double check what it's called because I never know. So I watched the David Attenborough A Life on Our Planet show on Netflix. It's a documentary. And I cried so much. I bawled my eyes out because they don't show any like animals killing each other, which I never like to watch anyway. It was more so the effect that climate change and the human species in general is having on the wilderness, like nature and animals, and we're literally destroying this planet. I've always obviously been a big advocate for animal welfare, and I try my best to look after the planet. Like, I recycle as much as I can, and I, save my showering time and, just small things like that. And I'm always learning about how I can also have my own input, even if it's not on a grand scale, like being a part of the UN or anything. What are we doing daily in our routines to contribute to or take away from climate change and global warming and all of that stuff. So the documentary was super insightful as to the ramifications of what we're doing as mankind. Yeah, it's to watch what we've done in such a short amount of time and how scary it's going to be by 2030, 2040, 2050. He gave like a future insight as to if we keep doing what we're doing, what's going to happen. And literally nothing is left. Like, nothing. And it's really awful to see. And there was 2 scenes that made me bawl my fucking eyes out. Well, there's actually a lot. I cried pretty much the whole documentary, but one of them in particular It's talking about the palm oil production. So they chop down all the rainforests so they can use the palm oil from the trees, and obviously that affects the orangutan and the ape. No, not ape. Is it the orangutan? Like the orangutan population, because you're destroying their habitat. Like that's where they live, in the trees, and they eat all of the greenery and stuff like that. And they showed, oh my god, it looked like the Sahara Desert, like no trees were left. Picture like that really dry looking Sahara Desert, and it had one tree, but it was just a really long skinny tree branch that was like grayish looking, and it had one branch at the very top with like a tiny bit of greenery on it. So it wasn't like a big full luscious green tree. It was like a long, you know how trees look once they're all burnt, like there's nothing on them, it's just the bark, except they weren't black, they were like grey in the Sahara Desert, and it had greenery up the top. And they just showed footage of this orangutan like walking by itself, and it like starts climbing this one tree, and it goes all the way to the top and just like sits with the greenery and like starts eating the leaves. And obviously, like, I don't know if that was staged, but that's the picture they're trying to put out there, is this is what it's going to be like for them. We keep taking away their habitat. We keep destroying where they live. Where the fuck are they going to get their food and where they're going to live? And then they also went into detail about what's happening in the sea and the oceans. And it's just so heartbreaking. Like, it's fucked. And it really makes you think. It really makes you question what you're doing. If I could afford a Tesla, I would. Because, you know, the more fossil fuels and shit we're putting into the air and carbon dioxide and all this crap, it's like, look, renewable energies is the way of the future, I promise. So if you just want an insight into all that stuff, it's more so just like a reality check, because a lot of people don't realize the effect that it's having, and a lot of people don't realize, or they're stubborn and don't want to acknowledge that they can actually change their ways. You know, like, you can survive in a different way. We just choose not to. And yeah, it might not be your generation that's affected, but it's your kids' generation and your kids' kids' generation. If we even live that long to see the ramifications, probably not, considering what David shared on his documentary, but it was super eye-opening for me and very upsetting. I like had tears streaming down my face, and it was just really sad. Like, I hate humans. I really do. I hate humans. So yeah, go ahead and give that a watch on Netflix. I will obviously put the title in the description anyway, so you guys know what it's called. And let me know what you think. I'd love a little discussion on what happens in the documentary. It's so sad, even if we can cry together. I just can't. I can't get the orangutan out of my head. And the same thing happens with a zebra. They have like a zebra walking by itself with no one around him, and it's just, oh my god. Okay, I need to stop talking about it. Okay, let's get into today's episode. I want to talk to you guys about ways that you can validate yourself. I have this little running joke with one of my coworkers / friend that I work with, and she, like, we're very open with each other. We can say this kind of stuff to each other, and she seeks validation a lot. And she knows this because we've spoken about it. And we made this running joke in the office. She's included. It's not behind her back. She now says, like, I need a validation drip that she can just hook up like this bag of validation into a drip and stick it in her arm and be like, yay, I'm validated. I thought it was so funny. So yeah, all jokes aside, today's topic is about how to get validation from yourself so you're not seeking it from others, because that's just tiring and unnecessary. And I don't know if this is the case, but in case anyone's wondering, like, what the fuck is validation? I looked up the meaning and I'm going to tell it. It is the action of checking or proving the validity or accuracy of something. So it's normally validation for yourself, or validation of a decision you made or a task that you've completed or something like that. You just need reassurance that it's like, please tell me I did a good job, or please tell me that I'm worth it, or something like that. I feel like self-validation is super important in terms of self-worth. Like, it should be a tool under your belt. If you had like a little toolbox of self-worth that you carried around, one of them would be the ability for self-validation. Because if we're constantly chasing or seeking, the word is probably better to use, seeking validation from others, it can be taxing on the mind, right? It makes you feel anxious or depressed. And, you never know what kind of validation response you're going to get. The fact that you need to seek validation, I don't feel like you're 100% confident in something you've done or yourself in the first place. So that constant need to fill that validation cup from others, you never know what response you're going to get. And will it ever be enough? Right? Will that external validation ever be enough for you? So we need to put things in place to train yourself to seek that validation. And like I say, for everything else in that self-worth toolbox, it's a skill. It takes practice and it takes time. So if any of these things kind of seem a bit out of reach for you or you're a bit hesitant, just fucking do it. Dip your toe in that ocean, baby, and learn to swim. Like, it's all good. You just got to make a step toward this kind of stuff and you'll be fine. So another one is acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge your strengths, acknowledge your skills, your successes and your progress and your effort. I think like I'm someone that really likes to be praised, and I have some limiting beliefs around, self-worth and things like that as well, believe it or not. Whole long story of how that came about. But, seeking constant external validation is normally a red flag that you have some self-worth challenges, because you always are seeking that validation that you've done a good job or you're a good person or something like that. So workplaces where you'll find a lot of that, people seeking validation, even in relationships. This is super hard for some people, but an exercise you can do in acknowledgement is write I call it the 100 list, and take some time to sit down, get into state, set up your environment, and you're going to write down 100 things that you have accomplished, that you're proud of. It could be things that you've physically done. It could be some mental growth. It could be some challenges you've overcome. Like, have you got a degree? Did you leave an unhappy relationship? Your kids, starting your business, losing weight. Or it could just be your own characteristics, like things that you're proud about yourself. You're a loyal person, or you are trustworthy, or anything that you're proud of about yourself, or things that you've done in your life. And list 100. And like I said, it can be scary for some people, because people are very uncomfortable sitting down and acknowledging that there are really good traits about yourself and there are really positive things. And if you have that 100 list handy, when you feel a little bit not confident or uncomfortable, or you find yourself creeping toward seeking external validation, grab that little 100 list out of your toolbox. This is why I'm a boss ass bitch and I don't need external validation. Another one we can talk about is, we'll call it encouraging yourself. So encouragement. Anything that you accomplish or get through or survive, or anything that you tick off, the ability to celebrate yourself in the moment. I don't think you have to be, you can still be a humble person and validate yourself and encourage yourself, whether in whatever way that looks like, whether that's sharing the news, talking about it, even to yourself. Like, do you journal? Do you meditate? Do you think it in your own head, like internal dialogue? It's super important to actually stop and go, fucking good job, Jade. Or, you're a superstar, I knew you could do this. Or go to coffee with a friend and say, guess what I did at work? I'm so proud of myself. Think about it. Think about your true self as your best friend. Do you have a best friend? Do you have a sister you're really close with? Or, your partner, whatever it is. How would you hype up that person you're close with if they came to you and told you the same news? If your best friend was like, I got the promotion I always wanted, or I finally got into this relationship, or whatever it was, I lost some weight, you would be like, yes, queen, you absolute superstar. I knew you could do it. I know you could do it. Why do we not say this kind of stuff to ourselves? It's the same kind of confidence, positive affirmations I tell you guys to do in the mirror. We need to be able to encourage ourselves, especially in the moments where it counts, because you'll find if you do something really important at work or you accomplish something, our go-to method is always, I know I did a good job. Like, I just need someone else to tell me I've done a good job. And you kind of find yourself talking to it about your boss, or you tell all your coworkers about it, and you constantly bring it up hoping someone will go, oh, that's cool, like, good job. But if you get that validation from yourself first, like, of course it's nice to have those compliments externally as well, but always get it from yourself first. Fill up your cup with your own validation first. Encouragement. Have you guys seen what's it called, Couples Retreat, and the scene where they're doing like the yoga with the guy in the speedo and he keeps like spanking all their bums and he's like, encouragement. That's what I think of when I say encouragement. So the next one is the ability to prioritize your needs. And this can go hand in hand with last week's episodes with setting boundaries as well, depending on how you look at it. Being in tune with your gut, being in tune with your own wants and needs, desires in that moment first, and putting yourself first. If you're unsure of something that's happened, or if you're unsure of how you feel, it's important, like I said, to fill that cup yourself first. So rather than going out and seeking everybody else's validation and or opinions, because it's not them, it's not their body, it's your body, it's not their mind, it's your mind. They don't know what you need in that moment. Take some time for yourself. Again, journal, meditate, go to sleep, like do something to clear your mind and try and understand in the moment, what do I need to validate myself here? Do I feel like I've done a good job? Could I do something? What could I have done differently? What can I do moving forward? I'm proud of this part of the thing that I did. Moving forward, I know I will say this differently. Cool. Okay. I'm feeling better about the situation. Then tell other people. And if you need that opinion to sway your decision, then so be it. But really take that time to be in tune with yourself and your gut with what you need. You being the key word. And this kind of rolls into the next one, which is treat yourself with kindness. I always like using the metaphor of treat yourself as if you were your own best friend. Like, yes, we can be our own worst critics, and there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism as long as it's constructive. You know, you wouldn't criticize your best friend, so don't do it about yourself. The reason that we seek external validation is because we're not sure how to talk to ourselves. We're not sure how to give constructive feedback to ourselves, or how to steer the plan in the future, or what went wrong, and blah, blah, blah. So you need to learn and teach yourself how to have a more constructive conversation. A lot of that comes down to reflection, and I think journaling helps for a lot of people. Meditation helps for a lot of people. Educate yourself, you know, do some personal development in that area. Like, how do I give myself constructive feedback? And it's normally just that internal dialogue. Like, I like to say there's 3 power questions. What's happened, or what's happening? What does it mean to me? And what am I going to do about it? And then let those questions be kind of the navigation of how that internal dialogue should go for yourself. I said it kind of similar to in the previous one, which was prioritizing your needs, can't talk. And that was, you know, what's just happened? Like, how can I do things differently? What could I have said better? And again, as long as it's constructive, it's okay. And if you're comfortable giving yourself advice before you seek validation or opinions elsewhere, you'll be, I think, a lot more maybe ready to receive other people's opinions and feedback. And I suppose back on the best friend metaphor that I always use, and always put yourself in that position. What advice would you give your best friend? What advice would you give your loved one? And do the same for yourself. Be your own support system. I think that's huge. Do you support yourself? Probably not if you're seeking validation. Like, it's not up to other people to make you feel like you made the right choice. Just fucking own it and be confident with what's happened. So another one is practice acceptance. And this is a big thing for people in the self-worth and, you know, low confidence kind of field, is people need to acknowledge that we're not perfect, and every lesson that we go through, every challenge is there to shape us and help us learn something. So if you're very optimistic in that way and you have that mindset where anything that's thrown at you, you can kind of go, awesome, what am I going to learn from this? What are the lessons this is trying to teach me? Accept your flaws, accept your limitations. Mistakes are meant to be made so we can grow. And if you don't like something, you can always change it. Don't beat yourself up about it, and don't allow others to kind of have that persuasion on you. And that's where it comes. If you seek external validation, there will be criticism, there will be influence, there will be opinions that don't necessarily matter. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but if you ask people their opinion, they're going to give it. You're allowing a platform for people to criticize your flaws and your limitations and things like that. So just accept that you're going to fuck up, accept that you're not perfect, and you'll find that you won't give a shit about what other people think, because you're content with how you're doing things, if that makes sense. So I think at the end of the day, just be kind to yourself and allow room for mistakes, allow room for challenges, continually support yourself like you would a best friend. Practice makes perfect as well. So I don't expect you to listen to this and go out and complete a task and not straight away feel the need to seek validation, but just, all the metaphors really help kind of shape your mind. So have your little self-worth toolbox, have your little self-validation tool in that toolbox, and the little tools that you need along the way, like your little 100 list and communication skills, and anything else you need to get along this journey. But at the end of the day, seeking external validation can be very tiring, and it's taxing on your mental health and your mindset. So I think anxiety is big in seeking validation, because for me personally, seeking validation brings along those negative thoughts of, what do they think about me? Did I do the right thing? Are they going to think that I've done a good job? All that fucking shit. And it's just this constant negative pattern of never truly being okay with yourself and your own abilities, because you're relying on other people's opinions of you and your abilities. So fuck that. Learn to love yourself first. And that's it, guys. I'm wrapping this one up today. I hope you really enjoyed it. As always, this episode will be posted in the Facebook group. So if you have any questions or you want to talk about what was discussed or just support each other, jump in on the post, lift each other up. Tell me about a time that you validated yourself, or maybe tell me a time that you've really struggled with self-validation, and we'll see if we can work on this together. But until then, if you'd like to follow me or connect in general, you are welcome to follow me. My YouTube and my Instagram is Jayde, Jayde, Delpup, Delpup. You can find links to my business page as well on my link tree on my Instagram. So have a great day, guys. I love you so much. Bye.